Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I know it's a busy day, so we really appreciate you taking some time to join this panel, which is TikTok transforming fragrance? I'm Haydn Williams. I'm a fragrance journalist in the UK. I host a podcast called Man in the Mirror, and I have an Instagram channel called You Smell Great, What Is It? And I'm particularly interested in the world around fragrance, the creators, the brands, and how perfume fits into a wider societal and cultural context. So I'll tell you a little bit about what you can expect this afternoon. I think we've all seen how much TikTok has changed the landscape in the last 10 years or so. It's given people more information, it's given them more knowledge, and it's also given a platform to smaller brands without them having to pay for massive advertising. There's careers that people couldn't have even thought about 15 years ago as content creators. That's happened. But I wonder if there's a slight dichotomy in all of this, in that there's more information than ever on TikTok, but at the same time, it's all being forced into this funnel of such a short attention span, and that all this information has to be put across in 10, 15-second sound bites. So I think that's a real challenge. But I think it's also interesting to look further up the chain, if you like. What's happening in product development, what's happening for brands, what's happening for perfume itself. What has social media done for that? So I'd love to introduce you to my panel who are going to talk about all of this afternoon. To my left is Andrea and Chiara Valdo, who are the co-founders of Juicebox Perfumes and the CEOs of Beauty San, which is an Italian production and distribution business that includes Costume National, Tutto Tondo, and Juicebox, as well as the distribution for Molton Brown and Juliet Has a Gun. In fact, Beauty San is celebrating its 30th anniversary this month, or right now, yeah?
Yeah, actually, in these days. Yeah.
Right, yeah, so it's 30 years old. And the latest Juicebox fragrance is out at the moment. It's called Wave of Freedom, which is inspired by California in the 1960s and the Beach Boys. So do check that out if you get the opportunity. On my far left is Brandon Winfield, who is a content creator who's particularly well known on TikTok and is hugely popular, particularly with younger audiences. His channel is called Brand Sense, and he has over 300,000 followers on TikTok and with another 20,000 on Instagram. And I think it's fair to say his tastes are slightly for the darker and more mysterious type of fragrances. And he's certainly not afraid to set trends and explore notes and brands that sit outside the mainstream. Then to my right is Vesa Kalho, who's originally from Finland, but moved to the UK over 20 years ago. He had a long career at Harrods, worked his way up through various retail and buying roles. He then moved to Fenwick before his current role as Chief Brand Officer at Fragra. In 2024, Vesa received the CEW Members Achiever Award to recognize all he's done for the industry. And I'd love you to join me in welcoming the panel. Lovely to see you. So yeah, just a little bit about the format. I think we've got 40 minutes or so. So we're going to have a chat through, but I'm definitely going to leave some time for questions. So if there's things that cross your mind, do have a think, and we'd love to take your questions at the end. The first part is the landscape, and the way things have changed from the department store counter and editorial to more of an algorithm-led exploration and scent storytelling. So I'd like to ask Vesa, first of all, what changes have you seen in store and how consumers are discovering fragrances these days?
So obviously there's been a big change in the last 10 years, especially in the last 5 years, in that sense that the consumers coming into stores now, they are very well educated on fragrance, and in that sense that they know already about ingredients, whereas like 10 years ago, there weren't that many people who knew the ingredients they were after. So in that sense that already is a big change in that landscape. But at the same time, I think they're not necessarily as brand driven anymore, that they want to find something new and different, which is very exciting as well, that customers are willing to try something different.
Thank you. And to Andrea and Chiara, Juicebox, a brand that involves music and fragrance, seems ideally suited to social media. Do you think that this kind of storytelling has made you stand out as a brand?
I think, yes, the storytelling is quite appealing for social media in general. What is not much appealing is us, because we are a little bit too old to understand very much this environment, and also
me too, Andrea.
So when we created our brand, of course, this word was not there. So we really created the brand for the store and for the store manager, for the people inside the store that were like communicating our brand. So we have to adapt also our communication, our way of creating products in order to also give the possibility to this audience to really talk about our products. Of course, something that is very difficult for us, that we are not used to that, like new generation, they stay on the phone, they can talk and very easily. For us, it's quite difficult because we are not used to that since we were kids. So now for us, it's.
Have you found that you'd had to get more used to putting yourself in front of the camera?
Exactly. So everybody's
CEO?
asking us to do that, but for us, it's quite difficult because we are really not for this.
Yeah.
So.
I guess that's a big shift, isn't it? You know, we see it more and more with brands now, and particularly younger brands, where the CEO has to become, I mean, it's obvious, has to become the spokesperson of the brand, but so many more requirements, and we see it on social media all the time, these brand founders that are traveling the world pretty much the whole time, you know,
Right.
promoting in different territories. It almost becomes like a kind of music artist where you're touring all the time, going to events, going to launches, which is a different sort of role, because you've still got to do your job as CEOs of
Yeah,
companies,
exactly.
right?
Yeah. So we like to do that. We like to meet people in the stores. We like to talk about our brands, but to make personally, we are still on the generation that we do this personally is one thing. To do on video is completely different. So
Yeah.
it's quite difficult for us to do that. So we leave to people that
Like Brandon.
would like a brand. Exactly.
Brandon, let me bring you in. So it's a broad question, but as a content creator, what do you think are the factors that make a fragrance TikTok friendly?
So I can speak from my own experience. If it's heavily laden with story and you can instantly identify with a certain part of the brand, it doesn't have to be the whole brand, but if there's a part that you can see yourself within, you'll be interested in trying and experimenting a bit more. And I think most of the scents that are doing so well now, they have heavy story orientation, but they like endlessly wearable. So you try it, you get invested, and then you're wearing it every day, and you get deeper and deeper within the story and the branding. Because there is, in some ways, where I'm attracted to a brand because of the story, and I try it, and it's like the story's kind of gone off in its own way, and the scent doesn't become so wearable for me. So I think it's probably a mixture between wearability, story, and then brand ethos.
And what are you looking for in terms of fragrance and profiles to feature on your page?
I like my mind to be changed about something. So I never go into a perfume thinking, I don't like rose or I don't like jasmine. I'm like, I've just not smelt the right jasmine for me.
Yeah.
So I'm very open and I'll smell everything. I'm just looking for new ways of thinking about perfume. There's set ways of thinking about perfume. I want the opposite.
Yeah.
So.
And I know, Brandon, with your channel, you're very attuned to what your audience wants.
Yeah.
So is that important, you know, getting feedback and tailoring your channel to what your audience are asking for?
It's interesting because some of my least performing videos on my page have been the videos that most people have said, that's great, we love that. The ones that people will talk to you about and say, you know, we saw that video 1 year ago where you're just doing some trend or something like that, and it got like, I don't know, 2,000 views.
Yeah.
Which on my page, 50,000, 30,000, up to 800,000 views is quite good, but nobody mentions them to me.
Yeah.
Where sometimes the more niche stuff is the more attractive. It garners a different community, I think.
Yeah. Let's talk a bit more about trends and virality and what's going on with that. And I come back to you, Brendan, on this. I mentioned already, your page is very singular and unique, and you're not necessarily chasing trends. Do you think it can become a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy sometimes when certain content creators are rewarded with views and engagement for talking about the same things? You know, do you feel like we just end up seeing the same kind of content?
It's the same thing as being in school and wearing the same coat as what the popular guy wears. It's like, you feel cool, but it doesn't fulfill you, I don't think. It's like you're not doing your own thing, you're just copying what's trendy. And I think that can be quite soul destroying in a way, actually, because you lose your creativity just for views.
So how do you navigate that? How do you sit aside from that and do something different? Is that a conscious decision?
I'm not being a hypocrite, but up to the past 3 years of my content, I have targeted a lot of trends and trying to be, in a way that I wasn't. And in the past, I don't know, very recent, I've gone the opposite way to that. And just my own journey and my content creation has felt so much more fulfilling in uploading when I want to upload rather than when I feel I have to upload or do a trend because it is trending now and then in a month it's not going to be trending. If I want to do it in a month, I'll do it in a month because that's when I feel I want to do it.
And I've definitely seen that in your content, and I know people who enjoy your stuff. It's so much more. You feel so much more relaxed now, and being who you are, and that comes across. And I guess that's helping your channel grow, isn't it? You've got a particular voice, and you're using it, and people are being attracted to that.
I think sometimes trends are good, but authenticity is always number one.
Yeah.
Above anything.
Yeah. If I could turn to Vesa, talking about trends. How would you distinguish between these kind of flash trends and long-term commercial opportunities, which, the time it takes for things to happen in retail, you can't just jump on every trend, can you?
No, you can't. But at the same time, I think sometimes, trends come and go, and you need to be aware that how long is this going to last. But at the same time, something like, say, vanilla turns into more of the gourmand trend. So it's like, okay, actually, this is a bigger thing. But at the same time, the supply and demand will then create that desirability that, if you can't get it immediately, will that still stay, that consumers want that fragrance still when it's back in stock? And, then it's much easier to work with that trend.
And how is it possible to kind of stay on top of all this? Do you have people in the business that are looking at what's going on and sort of trend forecasting? Is that a marketing role, would you say?
I think there's definitely a trend forecasting, but at the same time, we know that with TikTok, it's quite hard to predict what will become a hit or trend. In that sense, many times it's something that we didn't anticipate, and that's what is actually driving it to become a bigger hit. But then at the same time, the search terms online, that will give us kind of indication, what is trending as well.
To Andrea and Chiara, I guess it's very difficult with a brand to target all these micro trends that come along, but does your fragrance development ever start with a particular ingredient based on a trend?
Never, ever.
Never.
We can start with an ingredient because we like it, or we want to do something, or we think that ingredient can really match the concept we want to express with the fragrance. But we never started working with an ingredient because it's trendy, or a olfactive family because it's trendy. We really try to construct our fragrances through quality ingredients that really match really what we want to make people feel with the fragrance. And this is why also we base the brand on music, because for us the feelings behind music and perfume are really important.
I guess that sits above trends anyway, doesn't it? You've got your idea, and you can.
No, of course,
exactly.
we are not outside of this world. I mean, of course, we smell other fragrances around. We are curious to smell, to find also the essential. The company who create the ingredients follow anyway the trend, so they propose us something that is in trend. But I think the most important thing we give our interpretation. So we don't want to try to create something that smells like something else.
Yeah.
So I think this is the most important thing. Okay, there's the gourmand, as he said, there's the gourmand moment, but we really want to make our interpretation. What is gourmand for us?
Yeah.
We don't want to copy anybody. We just want to make our concept alive with the ingredient and working very hard with the perfumer. Another problem is that the trend lasts 2 months, 3 months.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
We take at least 1 year and a half to make a project. So of course we never follow a trend. It's impossible for us.
At least micro trends.
Yeah. No, and I mean, you can see it, but I mean, you can see with certain brands who maybe have a slightly faster turnover, there is that compulsion to try and chase trends, isn't it? You can see it going on in the market, and you probably see it in the hall today. But yeah, I think if you're staying true to your brand values, then that seems to be the most important thing.
Yeah, long term for sure.
Yeah. Let's talk a bit now about brand strategy and creators. You know, there's perfume houses are having to be much more visual now. Everything's about story and fragrance created to be TikTokable. Do you think, again, coming back to Andrea and Chiara, do you think that people consuming fragrance through their phones impacts all the way back to development with perfumers?
I think, in fact, not the way we create perfumes, but the way we communicate perfumes. I think everything changing very fast. When we started this business more than 20 years ago, it was very easy. We just need one picture.
Yeah.
And we were using that for show cards and advertising on a magazine. Now you use to create a lot of content.
Yeah.
You need to create a lot of images because, you know, the digital world is eager of images, new images.
It's hungry, isn't it?
And every platform has its own language, so
Yeah.
you have to really adapt to the platform where you
But
see.
thinking about the actual juice itself, you know, perhaps it's not about individual trends, but you know, this idea of the broader things like, you know, beast mode or gourmand in general. Like, as you say, maybe the fragrance houses are. Do you think there's a pressure to try and keep up with that and making things a more stronger? Do you think TikTok's had an impact on that?
Possibly, yeah. I would say that the market for sure has an impact. I won't say our brand, I don't think so. I mean, if it does, we don't realize that. But, so we don't do it on purpose because, again, we really want to stand out in a different way. So we really want to focus on our way to communicate. But for sure, the impact of TikTok is really interesting in how the communication changes and how probably people is creating fragrances for sure.
Vesa, can you think of some of the more traditional and legacy brands and how they operate on TikTok? You know, do you think they've found a way to do that without losing credibility, some of the more historic and traditional brands?
I don't think they have found a way to communicate with the new customers, and that's their biggest challenge, that how do they stay relevant? And I think kind of like because the brand guidelines usually are so strict, but I don't think the consumers understand why the brand has got such a strict guidelines that they need to follow. And I think kind of like, you know, those brands need to understand that they need to lean into that. And, you know, find a way to be able to communicate. But I remember when brands used to say that they're not creating TikTok accounts or anything like that, and now all of the brands have had to create that, because if there's a conversation happening, you need to be part of it, and it needs to lead somewhere.
Who do you think is a good example of a legacy brand that's doing it well, do you think, on TikTok? Can't think of any.
I can't think of any legacy brand at the moment that would be doing well on their own. I think there are some brands that are actually benefiting kind of like the conversation happening, but how are they joining in that conversation?
Do you think that's because TikTok is so much more informal and requires so much more kind of loose kind of content, you know?
Yeah, and I think because TikTok is fast as well, that the brands many times can't even react on like the real time what's happening.
In terms of how you go about this, Brandon, how do you go about building trust in with what you do online? You know, what makes you say yes or no to doing a campaign if a brand gets in touch? What are your criteria for that?
Like the perfume?
Yeah, it's probably the best one.
No, I have to.
Does it begin and end there, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, no, if I don't enjoy what I talk about, I'm doing everyone a disservice straight away, and I will never do something for my own gain that's not benefiting people. So that's where it would end. But on the other hand, if a perfume brand and they come to me and they have a perfume, they say we'll give you samples, and I fall in love with even a 1 ml sample that much. Like the first series I ran on my page, was a zoologist series. Like there was no payment there. There was just some samples that Victor gave to me, and I did like a 36-day series. Now, if you were going to put a price on that and stuff like that, you'd lose yourself in it, and you wouldn't enjoy it as much because you'd feel obligated to do these daily reviews. And if you had a day off, you'd feel bad, and it would reflect on the review. So yeah, I mean, answering the question, just really like the brand and really enjoy the perfume, and then everyone will feel that.
Yeah, and I think so that comes across your sort of genuine commitment to the brands that you support.
I'd hope so.
Yeah. To everybody, really, we talked a bit about brands and TikTok. Can you think of examples of outside of your own brand? Do you think of brands that are doing a good job and doing some really good content on TikTok? Or whose stuff have you liked seeing?
I like. I mean, this comes into the thing of scaling with the business and stuff. The new Marc-Antoine Barrard campaigns, I don't know what they've got to do with the actual perfumes of people floating in rivers with white satin shirts on and stuff.
But you like it?
Yeah, it looks great. Like, it's attractive. It looks good. Like, and I get an insight into what, like, the brand ethos is. And, I mean, when I first started trying Marc-Antoine Barrard perfumes, I didn't even know that he was a designer for clothes design. I entered into his world through the perfumes. And then as I'm learning more, I'm learning about his clothing and where the inspirations actually come from. So.
And are you seeing that on TikTok as well?
TikTok and Instagram, yeah.
And is it slightly different on TikTok to Instagram? Because obviously Instagram can be slightly high production value, slightly shinier.
Yeah.
Is it different on TikTok? Or?
I think probably it just feels a little shorter. Maybe they're doing more snippets and stuff where you can watch it. You're not diverting too much of your attention. You're watching a 15-second clip of something. But I don't know. I think it might be more positive if brands actually do upload longer form content. It feels more personal. It feels like you're in the world a bit more. If you're getting 15 seconds, you're not giving them much, are you, really?
No.
So if you get a 3-minute-long video, although it might not perform quite as well, there might be 3 people out of that feel more in your world, or 10 people, and then they might feel more inclined to come into store and try perfumes. So
just having a smaller group of sort of fanatic
I'd say so.
supporters might be better.
Yeah.
Either of you, do you think of brands that are good in the social media space?
I like a lot the communication Nasomato. I think he's really genius in communicating in a very different way.
What do they do on social media that you like?
Weird video.
Weird. Again, I suppose that's it's quite singular, isn't it? You can, if you're scrolling, you can see what it is straight away because it's unique to them.
Yeah.
Right?
But also the recent launch that was like in these days, it was really kind of...
I'm wearing it now.
So fun.
Oh, yeah. What's it called?
Mico, I have it with me. Mico Delirio.
Yeah,
right.
Mico Delirio.
It's the bottle is the bottle is it's a shaved down Banksia pod. So it's
A what?
a Banksia pod. So
What's that?
it's a seed pod that only releases the seeds after a forest fire. But for that reason alone, it looks like when the seeds release the pod, it looks like lips all over the pod. So it's very strange looking.
Yeah.
But it fits the perfume of being this delirious natural nature situation. Mushrooms and yeah. I mean, he's done a lot of advertisements recently, Alessandro Gottieri, where he doesn't even show the perfume. It's just him with a big pod on his head dancing.
Oh yeah, I've seen some.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It's great. I love it.
How about you, Vesa? Who do you think does a good job on social media? You must have to keep across all of this as a buyer, and it must play on your mind. Who's good at it?
Yeah.
My feed, to be honest, isn't really any brands at the moment. It's more of the influencers.
Right.
And I feel like, the micro influencers who are talking. And, for me, it's interesting that how they describe fragrance, in that sense that many times I feel like I know that fragrance, but I never thought of it that way. I actually have to go and revisit that fragrance now myself, because it's like, okay, like you're describing it that way, and I didn't remember it that way. So that's why I like seeing these influencers, how they describe the fragrances.
So let's look a little bit now about the good, the bad, and the future, and the benefits and the downsides of TikTok. Brandon, do you think, we talked earlier about the fact that TikTok has allowed so many more people into the space and has this democratizing effect. Do you think we're hearing from a broader range of voices because of TikTok?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, no, I would have never imagined making content for fragrance if it wasn't for TikTok. And
Did you start in the TikTok
Yes,
era?
my first ever video was a bad impersonation of Jeremy Fragrance. So.
I saw him this morning in my hotel.
Did you?
Yeah.
Is he? Oh, great.
I wish you could have done
He's
your
another
impression.
character. He's great. He is. Yeah, I love him. But yeah, it was just I got a Paco Rabanne Phantom sample, and I was talking maybe in his accent. I didn't do it on purpose, but I just felt like I had to for the review. And then I did that. I got it early. That review did like 20,000 views, but if I were to upload that today, it probably wouldn't, because there wasn't much perfume TikTok then. It was all people still dancing in the streets.
When did you start, Brandon?
4 years ago, 4.5 years ago.
Seems like a long time now, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's great though. I love it. I feel like my content every single year has been so different. Like I feel like I'm a different person every year. And I feel like even TikTok has influenced that as well. But I've had to now currently remove myself from watching too much TikTok content because doom scrolling is a thing, and I feel like that reflects into my content quite heavily as well.
Yeah.
So I've removed myself. I had 7 days break and then did 3 new videos that's basically like going against all the norms of TikTok. So it's longer content, no heavy editing.
So you're consciously pushing against the
I'm doing the opposite. No AI, no nothing, just pure review, and it feels so good to just do that.
As we said at the beginning, I mean, it's been a remarkable platform for actually allowing different people to. You think of the amount of people that make a living now as content creators, and the trips you get to go on and the places you get to see.
TikTok took me to my first abroad holiday, which was New York.
That's incredible.
So I'd never been abroad before that. So, yeah.
And Andrea and Chiara, in thinking about the brand space, do you think that's the same thing with brands? Do you think it's democratizing things? Do you think it's allowing lower barriers to entry, perhaps?
For sure, it was something very positive because, first of all, let's say the niche perfumery was something more related to a mature audience. And what's really very important is that it makes the perfume much well known to people in general, but especially the young generation. And this is something very important for us. And yeah, these were one of the things.
So before, when we were younger, there was like a word by mouth, you know. Now the word by mouth is a little bit bigger with the social media. So TikTok, it works perfectly for, people that are shouting out and say this is nice and how to. For sure, our dream is that this also can bring people to the shops. So this is what we would like to, not just stay there but because I think the experience is still very important to make the experience in the store with the people. This is our dream, but for sure, TikTok and social media in general really help.
But we also know there's really small niche indie brands that start and have an opportunity to build their platform through Instagram and social media in general without having to spend hundreds of thousands on big campaigns, right?
Totally.
Yeah. Where do you think, for you as a brand, where do you see TikTok going? What do you think is going to happen in the fragrance TikTok space?
Difficult question.
Yeah.
We don't know.
I guess
it's very difficult to say.
It's
Probably
difficult to say, but
Brandon
maybe another.
can reply better on this.
Yeah, what do you think?
Really into this, because as a brand, we're just outside the world. We just use it as a platform. Yeah. We just see what's going on, but it's very difficult to control it as a brand.
How do you see it evolving, Brandon?
I feel like people are craving authenticity, and I feel like with the AI making reviews and stuff, I see it so often online of like this fragrance enters a room before you, velvet ribbons on skin and stuff like that.
So these are just AI.
These are just AI prompts, and I think people are just so sick of that they're craving normalcy and authenticity. So like I think TikTok's going to go in a direction where there's always going to be more creators, and I think that's just such a positive thing. More people getting into this world. But I think the only way it's going to have longevity is if they refine their aesthetic and stay authentic. So, yeah.
So I think the final thing, just maybe as a takeaway, do you think there's one practical shift that brands should implement straight away to do better on TikTok?
Relax, I think. Yeah, like it doesn't have to be so serious, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like I would much rather somebody have a phone like that saying, look at my new perfume, you know, rather than seeing a window display or something like that. I feel like when things feel more personal, I tend to enjoy them more. And I think that resonates a lot with my audience as well. It's like when you feel like you're invited into the brand and you've not just discovered it on your own, it becomes a better experience for me. So maybe just like less production value is good. That's why TikTok's working, you know?
Yeah.
We've seen recently with the new Backrooms movie, the guy had a £800,000 budget and he's just done like 100 million in takings. It's like he's showing that you don't need the largest budget on the planet to make a difference.
Yeah.
So lower value, if you're indie niche brands, that's why there's a lot more indie niche brands. People have a message to tell, and it doesn't mean that you have to have the biggest budget on the planet to do it. TikTok is making it so that anybody can do it.
Same question to you, Vesa. What do you think a practical tip that you could give to brands in terms of how they perform on TikTok?
I think for brands, but also retailers, I think we all need to be mindful of that social media is not going away. So do we have enough resources and attention for that? In that sense that if it's one person doing all of the social media, is that actually enough? You know, because the customers want more and they want different things in that sense that they don't necessarily want to see on Instagram what they've seen on TikTok. So yeah, is there enough resources?
Thank you. And finally to Andrea and Chiara, I guess if you didn't have a practical tip, can you tell us a bit about, so Wave of Freedom is the latest Juicebox fragrance. What did you do on social media around the release? Like we saw you in London at
especially in UK, we did a very nice campaign. We do two main things. We had a nice podium at Selfridges, so we always try to combine, you know, retail and, you know, digital. So we invited a lot of influencers at our podium, so we had the chance to really show the product to them.
It was very visual, wasn't it? Because it was all
it was very visual. Yes, it was very California, Tiki Bar, California oriented the podium. So we had the chance to speak to all of them, to show the product, to smell the product. So it was very interesting. And also we also had a dinner in a California one-star Michelin restaurant in London.
Was that for content creators then?
It was mainly for content creator. We like a bunch of them, so we had a dinner together. So we have the chance also to talk, you know, deeply, not just about the fragrance, but also about, you know, what is our vision about the perfumery, our brand. So it was very interesting. So we also share ideas. I think it was very.
From the production point of view, we create a specific kit for content creators where we put many information and at the same time the product and some special gifts that are really related to the concept in order to make them jump in the concept very well.
Got you. Well, thank you very much. I think we've got time for a few questions. Is there a microphone that is roving? Has anybody got any questions for anybody on the panel? Yes, gentleman there in the blue top. Thank you.
Hi, thank you very much for everything. Brandon, for you the question, how to become UGC creator, you know, some secrets to collaborate with perfume companies, with UGC creators and the opposite, you know, like marketing, collaborations, some secrets.
Oh, how do I navigate that?
Huh?
So I've had specific like affiliate codes on my page, but it's not something I really like doing. I mean, most of my collaborations are where I discover brands at places like Essence, and then I will either reach out to them and say, would you like to do something where you gift a bottle and I do a review, and then it works that way. I've always found it difficult navigating money and passion together because it instantly makes you feel like you're being bought to say something, and then my review becomes inauthentic. I'm still struggling with that now, like how to monetize. But
I think it's that classic issue, isn't it? Always of your passions meeting commerce and
Yeah,
the need
for sure.
to. We've all got to make money.
Facilitate it. Yeah, we've all got to make money. We've all got bills to pay. But it's like, yeah. I mean, what I do is that, you know, when I was in Halle in Romania, I tried a lot of brands. I reached out to the brands. We've had conversations. I've met the brand owners. I think it's just like get yourself involved within the brands, talk to the brands, and if you match, if you connect, then you know it's going to work between you. It's like I can enjoy fragrances from specific brands, but if there's no like communication and good feeling, I know that this is going to fall apart, and it won't work between us as a collaboration. So yeah, I hope I've answered your question.
But do you collaborate with another companies? I don't know, maybe it will be cars, you know, or something like different industry, you know?
Would I collaborate with a different industry?
Yeah.
Potentially. I mean, I tried to get into fashion, but what I've realized is I only really like dressing in black. So it's a bit awkward when...
There must be some brands that...
No, I tried wearing white recently. It was horrible.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, you know...
Maybe there's some fashion brands that just do black.
Rick Owens, but collaborating with Rick Owens would be quite difficult, I think, especially from day dot, you know. Hey, Rick, send me stuff, you know. Or Yoji Yamamoto. Like, there is brands, and there's a lot of artisan brands that there's a lot of British artisan brands that I've been getting into. I mean, somebody who I idolize for his fashion sense is Mio Fushuni. It's like everything he wears is artisan. It's great, and he looks so well put together. But I think what I do well is talk about perfume, and I think that is something so special that I've been gifted with. So I want to just do that as much as I can, and try and just harness that one gift for now. I'm not saying never. I may return to the fashion scene if white becomes a bit more appealing, or another color kind of comes to mind, but for now, no, just perfume.
I think in my space as a writer as well, often talking to brands, and I know there's a skepticism sometimes of some of the content creators where they cover off so many different areas, you know, where some brands think, well, I'm giving them a perfume today, but actually they're just as interested in trainers or sweets or drinks or whatever. I don't know, sometimes it feels like maybe, just my opinion, that you know, the more you dilute, the less effective it can be, which is kind of what you're saying, right?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with kind of pigeonholing yourself a little bit.
But that's what you were saying earlier as well about, you know, the trend perhaps to becoming a specialist and going against AIs, but getting really good at something and being an authority, right?
Yeah, it's kind of going against what is normal is great. I love that. Cool.
Any more questions? Yes.
Hi.
That's handy, right next door.
Yeah. It's a follow-up question, maybe a little bit jaded.
You're jaded, did you say?
Jaded.
Jaded.
Yeah. So my question is, as someone who found herself from art and design working in marketing, I've found that I myself cannot trust anyone's opinion online anymore.
Okay.
And
you are jaded.
yeah. Like, especially now that I'm on the marketing and I see all the emails that we as a brand are receiving, being like, okay, I'll give you a review, and the least I want is like a perfume bottle or a perfume bottle plus
money.
Money, yes. So we tend to avoid those collaborations. Even when you gift a perfume, I feel that that person is kind of inclined to be a little bit more lenient and polite about what they'll say about it. So yeah, just trying to put myself back in the shoes of just the customer and the audience, the random person doom scrolling. Like, how do you make sure that the people who follow you trust you and don't feel like everything you say is bought in some way?
You can never 100% make sure of that. Because I've been talking now about Auto Parisi for 3 years, and I've never been paid once by them. And people still message me saying, oh, of course he loves the new one. They pay him so much money to talk about them. And I literally have a tattoo of the brand. I don't know how much more they want me to say, you know, that I love this perfume.
He bleeds Auto Parisi.
Yeah, I literally do. Yeah. But there's no fully way of securing trust. It's just try your hardest and be as much of yourself. And if that isn't enough, then that's their problem. So, yeah.
Thank you. Probably got time for one or two more? Yes, lady in white vest. She's just coming over with a microphone. Thank you.
Hi, thank you. I'm Ines from Seoul, and I'm building a niche fragrance house from Korea and rooted in Korean heritage storytelling. So this is close to home for me. My question is mainly for Brandon, and you talk about authenticity coming from showing the why and the process over time. For heritage-driven brand with the deep storytelling, how do you translate the deep into short form without flattening in it to trend chasing? Is long-form narrative just incompatible with TikTok? I just want to hear your opinion.
So kind of translating heritage into short-form content.
Yeah.
That'd be very difficult because you almost want to honor everything and you feel like you're dishonoring it by squeezing it together. Maybe there's specific snapshots of not having to put everything into it, but just specific parts in a series that you could do. So here's part of the heritage, here's another part, and then people can kind of build their own story then and kind of identify with specific parts of it. I also think that, I'm not saying that what I do is going to work for everyone, but maybe just do it. Just do a 10-minute video on TikTok and just do a really long video. I mean, that's so against the grain that it might actually work, you know? Mm-hmm. We don't know. And I love the fact that people are trying new things and doing new things. So I
suppose you could do a short video or a short video or two and then lead people to YouTube or something else.
Just do everything.
Yeah.
Try it all. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you
very much. Maybe one more. If is time for one last question. Any more? Yes. Kate in row 3. Hi, Kate.
Yeah.
Do you think now that there are almost now too many content creators and just going around wanting free stuff, collecting bags and bags, and then not actually making any valuable posts? You know, is there a way of making it? I mean, it's great that it's so accessible.
They say it comes back to the trust thing of not knowing if everyone's fully authentic. There are definitely probably people here that have come for a suitcase full of free bottles, and that's what they're looking for. But I think it's just like discernment on whether somebody is authentic about your brand. Like, I mean, if I owned a brand personally, I can speak from the fact that I would sample everything, and I could tell by facial expressions if you actually like it or if you just want to go home and just have a bottle. Do I think it's a positive thing that people go around and just go for bottles? No, I don't think it's a good thing, but I think it's happened forever, and I think it will continue to happen. So I think it's just personal discernment, really. Yeah.
I guess the brands are going to start to weed some of that behaviour out.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because they've got.
That's what I was asking. I mean, is there now a way of almost weeding it out a bit and stopping it? Because that authenticity is the thing that makes it all really important, and it shows. You know, you're saying about posts, and you want to then go and try the perfume because someone else has said something different. If you're just seeing a photograph of someone spraying a perfume, that adds nothing to my life.
What I can say about that as well is, like, when brands offer bottles to me out of the blue that I've never even smelled before, I would say, please don't send me a bottle. And I think that's not the right thing to do. Send me a sample, and if I love it, great, let's work together. Because I know this logistics of sending a sample overseas and stuff like that. It costs a lot of money for such a small thing because it's alcohol and stuff like that. But even today, like last year, I literally left with 0 bottles, and I left with unbelievable amount of samples. Went home, deciphered and digested the whole essence, and then was open to working with brands that I really enjoyed. So no, like I said, I can't answer your question fully, but just offer samples, not bottles, I think. Yeah.
Makes sense.
I agree.
Well, will you join me in thanking my panel for their brilliant insights? Brandon, Andrea, Chiara, and Vesa. Thank you very much. And Thank you for spending some time with us this
Thank you.
afternoon. Enjoy the rest of the show and see you again. Thank you.